Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the Vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live or listening to the replay. Always appreciate you all for tuning in live, as well as everybody that listens in the replay. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you all listening. Uh, you know, get quite a few people that listen from all around the world. We see the audience through the back office of YouTube, and we know the consultations that people have inquired from quite a few countries. So we always appreciate the inquiries. Quite a few people, even closer as far as more domestic, closer towards the states. As we travel around, and just always thankful that we were able to connect with as many people as we possibly could. And so today's episode is episode 185, 8 Steps to Monopoly, Private Use Only. And really wanted to do this episode today, uh, just out of the charitable heart of the vault's nature, to want to be able to give to the reality of how these things are created, and how people can take their steps into the private. Everyone says, hey, I want to get into private. Well, you got to invest in your private education. You got to at least learn how to get a company set up, whether it's a LLC, S corp, C corp, trust or charity or anything. You got to get it set up. So, we're going to talk about the 8 steps today to Monopoly. If you want to get in contact with us at the Vault for the consultation for that, is Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, Christian at trustchristian.com. 8 steps to a monopoly. This episode is going to be talking about people say, oh, I want to go private. Well, that means you're looking for a monopoly. When you're going public to private, you're looking to go into a monopoly position. So, 8 steps to monopoly is going to be a great episode. And we're going to talk about some things and really go deep into each one of the 8 steps. So, the first step is always be patient. And this is where everyone that has matured in life has realized that there is a thing called patience, and you have to appease it just as much as you have to work hard and really fast. And to give an example of how patient goes is patience goes where our mentor that's even in the trading, a lot of you all the audience listens that knows Cornell, he says he studied for 8 months in one field before he actually put any money into that particular investment. I mean, he studied at least 3 to 5 hours. So when we think about even trusteeship, it's the same thing. It's how much did you put up? How much did you put in the study? The patience is how well did you study the material before you got in it. A lot of people say, well, I'm having a hard time studying the information before I get into private. Of course. But the way that you learn is by at least having a corp set up. Because we still deal with people that are looking to go public to private, and they're in corps and they don't even have operating agreements or bylaws, but they're entities. They say that they're operating. And so always having patience is a critical thing in business. And some people may not realize that, but to know that the first principle, the first step is to always be patient, that means that it will pay big dividends in a person's future into having some type of family estate. Think about it in the process, but let's move on. Because it's one of those ones people say, well, can we overlook their patience? No. Some people may say, oh, they don't have the patience gene. Well, in going public to private, you cultivate that gene. So if a person is saying that they're not going to make it, that's true. They're not going to make it. Number two, the most expensive asset is not the best asset. And this is something where we talked with our partners earlier, where the second step of the 8 steps to monopoly, private use only is knowing that if you're going public to private, your most expensive asset is not your best asset. This is counterintuitive in the public. Why? Because people say, let's just go down the list of things that people consider the most expensive asset. Time. People say time is the most expensive asset. Well, if time is your most expensive asset, clearly it's not your best because you're running out of it. You don't gain more time, you're running out of it. It's not your best asset, but people say it's their best asset. But remember, the second step says the most expensive asset is not the best asset. You're running out of time. Let's think of the next one. People say, oh, money. Well, what about money? You need more of it. And guess what? Paper dollar bills are losing value every single day. Value meaning you need more of it to purchase goods, and now and in the future. So the most expensive asset is not the best asset. Those are the two traditional assets. Think about the house, the shelter. If that is the most expensive asset, it may not be the best asset. Why? Because all of the wealth is stored in one location. And if something happens to that property, clearly we see why it could not always be the best asset. Each of these steps are to be taken independently, so we have always be patient. You must always be patient in business. Number two, the most expensive asset is not the best asset. We know that. Time and money. Number three, focus on cash flow. This is where we get into people having a growth mindset, never having the ability to think down, never having the ability to think backwards. They're thinking about, okay, we're co creators. We have to co create at this moment. We have to sit down. We have to write down what are our passions, what are our talents, and we have to create. And that's generally how you create money or any other type of thing is through cash flow. So cash flow is the focus now. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. All of it adds up. So we're not willing to go back to the humble work. Focus on cash flow. If you have hidden talents and abilities, you go to those hidden talents and abilities for cash flow purposes. Those are the old hidden reserves that you have. They call it a savings account. Those are called cash flow accounts. Those are accounts that you can go back and tap because you know that that's a necessary business in the world. You just have left it. But cash flow purposes, being able to make sure that businesses are cash flowing, you're cash flowing. That means always creating, never having the ability to say there's a day that we go by that we're not focused on creating cash flow. So, always being patient, number one. Number two, the most expensive asset is not the best asset. Number three, focus on cash flow. Number four is keep some cash. That one of the eight steps of monopoly is to keep some cash. Cash has always been king. So the same paper that's depreciating, they say it's almost good to hold it, and good to hold it indeed. Why? Because when people say, "Oh, there's this digital revolution coming with digital currency," anything that's on a digital device is digital. It's not, "Oh, we need to see the physical gold." No, it's actually digital. That's why for them to come up with these enhancing technologies, uh, so, in the cryptocurrency space, it really is letting you know that they're trying to create a security for currencies. They're trying to create where there isn't, where they're trying to create an environment where there is less market manipulation by what they would consider bigger institutions. These traditional coins are trying to facilitate banking within themselves, and in turn, they're their own ecosystem. So maybe they got just bought out by the private sector with the banking because they were too insular. You first of all, you're going up against a billion dollar, trillion dollar entity, and you're coming around talking about GoFundMe so we can fund our projects to create a cryptocurrency. Well, if you think that even if you just raised $50 million, you were going to swat at a bank. That is what Wall Street executives make in a bonus outside of their regular salary. So for you to think that they were going to create $100 million company, they didn't have a chance. Now we saw some guys that were saying that they were billionaires already in the cryptocurrency space, which lets you know that crypto money security is hot right now. So when people talk about monopoly, that currency, that industry has already been looking to be monopolized. Why? Because the banks are there. It's in banking. These basically they had a bunch of young techies come out and say we're going to create a better security software so big banks don't get hacked anymore, and we're going to create an insular swift transfer that allows people to go from anywhere in the world and it's actually tracked completely. But what happened was when you're dealing with big banks, most people are dealing with big banks. So the cryptocurrency is actually just going to continue to grow. It is a market within a market. They're in emerging markets, and emerging markets are traditionally using those form of digital paying systems. Just like PayPal is big in the States, you have it around the world, but you also have these other companies that are big around the world. So when we talk about, you know, always keeping cash on hand, the currency's digital if it's not cash in hand. That's just bottom line. Even hard assets, anything that is considered a value that can be traded or swapped for more cash is an asset, which is almost like cash. So we can give it that. But cash will be able to get you some of maybe those other hard tangible assets. So always keeping some cash on hand has always shown what the wealth mindset is, what the monopoly mindset is. So the 8 steps to monopoly. Appreciate everybody tuning in live or listening to replay. We're going through the 8 steps to monopoly. It's private use only. It's when you're going from public to private. This is your mindset. Your mindset first is you're going to be patient. Why? See, when we get into business, we got into business to never quit. See, so many people think this is a part-time job. Just because you're on the internet, it's part time. It ain't part time. It's a full time commitment to your family. But oh no, public school, it discouraged us. But you're going into the private. That's where families work together. See, in the private, they call you by your last name, Mr. and Mrs. Last name. So, first step is always be private. The second step is the most expensive asset is not your best asset. Time and money are great examples of that. You're running out of both of them, and it's not that you're running out of money. See, that's not the issue. The issue is that the cash that people are holding, the money is dealing with what will be considered inflation. It's losing value. Number 3, always focus on cash flow. Focusing on cash flow has you in the growth mindset. It gets you up every single day saying cash flow has to come in because there are expenses that need to be maintained for managing property. Period. Number 4, always keep some cash on hand. This is a critical moment. You know, it's sort of like people say, "Oh, I gotta have a savings." Well, there you go. It's cash on hand. Why don't you have 1,000 on hand? Why don't you have 10,000 on hand? Those are minimal numbers. Well, how much we've met people that have the digital 100,000 saved. Oh yeah. You know how many people we run into from age 18 to 45 to 55 to 65 that come into the vault or whoever in the public that literally say, "Oh yeah, we have $100,000 saved in digital currency," but they don't have 100 hard cash. Always keep some cash. Number 5, location matters. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and crack the whip on all the beggars and the crybabies that want to say, "Oh, I live in an area where there's no jobs." First of all, when you're going private, you're going into entrepreneurship, investorship. Period. You're a creator. So when we talk about going into private, we talk about private investorship, private entrepreneurship. You're a co-creator. So location matters. Ladies and gentlemen, you might The world is a big place. But when you travel around, the world is not a big place. When you travel around, you see the world is not that big, but you do see that the world is big enough to where you have the opportunity to co-create, to create and help others. For you to create and help others. So, location matters. There was a publication we read recently that all wealthy people live in rural areas. When you hear about the new hotspot is Calabasas. Calabasas is not downtown LA. Calabasas is out the way. And you see so much going on where location matters for so many different businesses, so many different industries. You see that the world is global. So how does location matter when the world is global? It's over the internet. Location matters. Now you need to have real estate on the internet. People may or may not see the value of still having an internet website, a splash page for their project, to create an internet real estate funnel. That's what the old guys have done. Location matters. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and talk about the old guys. Because most people, at the end of the day, the most people that are out here putting out major productions are over 39 years old. We're talking about major productions when you talk about the TEDx's, when you talk about the 10x's, when you talk about these guys putting out production. These guys are over 35 years old because they're in a settled place in their life. Some of these gentlemen have moved through some of the lower phases of life. They've adapted to patience. They understand that their most expensive asset is not their best asset. They focus on cash flow now. They've been through ventures. They always focus on keeping some cash now. Location matters. Location matters for your peace of mind. Follow your intuition when it comes to your intuition is your best friend. So we're gonna start keep going. We have a few more. The first one is always be patient. The second one is the most expensive asset is not the best asset. Number three is focus on cash flow. Number four is focus on always keeping some cash on hand. A lot of people would say, well, what's the point of me carrying cash if it's losing value? Exactly. It's a precious commodity. It actually fluctuates on the stock market against other currencies. So there's a currency exchange rate. Don't think that just because you're holding something that may not have value, others aren't either. When they try to mix their currencies into dollars, they have to pay an exchange rate. If you say, well, am I the only poor loser that has to deal with that? No, you're not. It's currency exchange. And keeping some cash on hand is just good. Location matters. Location does matter. You want to put yourself in more of a, or maybe more of a vibrant city where you can get more sunlight, where you can see more people out walking around and enjoying nature, where you can be able to be around more movers and shakers. Maybe they say if you can't make it in New York, you can't make it anywhere. It's one of those lines. It's a certain places. If you go to Dubai, it's pretty sure if you go to Dubai and you can make it in Dubai, which is an expensive place to live, you're pretty much gonna make it. It's one of those things. Can you adapt to your surroundings? So location matters. People say, well, does it really matter? No, it does not. There are rich people everywhere you live. Somebody owns the real estate property that people live in for Section 8 for those benefits. That's the reality. Someone owns that real estate. Someone owns the water sewage system that's going through those houses. Location does matter. So let's go into location even deeper. They say location. Oh, well, what about the bottom? Then you got the American dream. Have the house and the white picket fence. That's what people go to America for. That's why they go and they play Monopoly. It's because they want their piece of the American pie. They want their piece of the Monopoly board, a piece of real estate. Well, guess what? How many people have gotten real estate on the public side and we know we've gotten the gambit. Oh, we've inherited this from our family and we're in a bad position. How many people are in bad positions because they've inherited property from their family and they're in the public and they're in there trying to go private? You got to get rid of the property. You own and control everything. But location matters. You have a location, you got to use it. 8 steps to a monopoly is a location. When you're on a monopoly board, you're passing by locations to buy or not to buy. Location matters. The next one is diversify investments. This is where we get past the 30-year mentality of, oh, you're going to work one job your whole life at the same company. It's diversify your assets. It's so many people used to say to us, oh, we have so many passions. Where do we start? Well, this is where you don't have to worry about picking one or the other. You just diversify your investment of time. You invest your time into things that are going to yield you capital, and some of them are your passions. Diversify your investments and into the many different passions that you have that someone else is getting rich in. Someone else is getting rich in that passion. So people say, "Well, how do I do it?" It's not about how. Everybody's been on this why kick for the past 5 to 10 years. Why? We don't need to ask why. We actually need to know process questions. Like, a part of the process is you diversify your investments. It's not, "Oh, let me just invest all my time in this one thing." No, you actually diversify your time and investments. You diversify. So many people, they get stuck in one business and they're not diversifying their reading. You got to diversify your education. You went from public education, well, now you invest in your private education. It's just that simple. The private education is available, people can pay for it. 8 steps to monopoly is how do you go private? 8 steps to going, whether it's a monopoly, whether you're going private, whatever. 8 steps. One of them is you have to invest in your private education. It says diversifying your investments. Where are you investing your time? Are you investing your time in cable? Are you investing your time in clothing? Or are you investing your time in education? So we already are aware of what the diversification process looks like from certain cultures. You can read these type of things on Thomson and Reuters, different type of websites that talk about these different stats. They talk about statistical things that let you know the field you're going into, how many businesses have filed taxes, how many businesses have reported earnings over $1 million, all these different things. You can get that information. So when you diversify your investments, you're literally saying, okay, I have to open myself back up to the game of life. It may not be in a book, it's actually going to be in front of me through a lot of experience in business for sure. And going private is going to be a lot of experience. Now, the thing about the private is you don't have to really get a lot on your own. You do, but most of the time it's supposed to come from having a mentor. And that's something that we really wanted to highlight when it comes to diversifying investments is diversifying your education into your mentor, diversifying into that relationship with a mentor. And there's so many people that we see that may or may not do that. And it's so critical that you have to diversify your investment of time and education and capital. Period. And some people say, well, it feels like I'm all over the place. That's how it's supposed to feel. You're diversifying your assets. You are all over the place. You want to make money that's overwhelming to you, where you can't be. You have to be able to experience abundance. And the way that you experience abundance is by giving life as much as you possibly can. So it will feel crazy for a while because most people have not been trained into a thought of abundance. That's the reality. So diversifying investments train someone, just like focusing on cash flow, train someone to think about creating these things. When a person's not thinking about creating cash flow, they're probably not going to create cash flow. When a person's not thinking about diversifying assets or investments, they're probably not going to do it. And then if they go out and start looking at negative experiences, they're not going to do it. Here we go. We'll give you an example of what we experience in the private. We get people come to us all the time and they say, "Well, how come you don't teach us the bad lessons of people getting their ass scolded in the private?" Well, first of all, why would we show you somebody losing? In the private, it's about showing you somebody that's winning. Whereas in the public, people might want to show people losers. We don't know. But we know in the private for sure, you're going to learn about people that are doing things in the public, doing things properly. That's what you want to learn. Success, not failure. You don't learn from failure. If especially someone else, we're not talking about it in the sense where you can't draw value. We're talking about you at least want to still know what success is so you can know what position to stand on, especially when you're in an environment that deals with precedent and previous wins. So you want to deal with the previous wins, not with the previous losses. There's so many trustees that say, "Oh man, I'm gonna go ahead out here and clutter my mind with losers information." First of all, see the thing about life is when you're able to get the truth, you have to be able to stand on it at one point. So many people say, "Oh, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm this and I'm that." Sure. So what truth are you standing on? What law are you standing on? And so diversifying your assets, investments, excuse me, to diversifying your investments, which means you already got something you're growing from, and which people have to be able to know their talents and their abilities. Not to be saying, "Oh, I'm supposed to go get a job." If you knew your God-given creator talents and abilities, which you have more than one, it's not just for data entry. You diversify your investments. So from the beginning, always be patient. Critical step. That's why it's the first one. The most expensive asset is not your best asset, it's number two. We always know that because of money. We always know that because of time. It's not that we just might be running out of it. So, focus on cash flow. Focus on cash flow is one of those critical steps that keeps us in the growth mindset. It doesn't allow us to think about, "Oh man, we got a hole in our boat." Yeah, so what? We got a hole in our boat. But if we're focused on cash flow, that means we're always focused on moving forward and pedaling the boat. There was a hole and we kept pedaling. Number four, always keep some cash. It's a critical stage. Maybe if you have some cash, you could plug up that hole. You could just cut that hole off. It's sort of like going into business with someone into a bad business deal. It's like, okay, man, I don't want to be in business with this person, so I either need to buy them out of my position or they need to buy me out of my position. But at the end of the day, we just need some cash. So cash on hand, let's go ahead and end this deal. Location matters. Location does matter. It's like, are you positioned on the information highway? Everybody's bragged for the past 20 years about being on the information highway, but how many people still have what will be even considered a personal website? Most people are still going through social websites. Most people are going through third-party websites for content distribution. Where are we at where content distribution is going through third parties? These brokerage firms that they're actually trying to buy your content from you, but they're getting it for free through acquiescence. Because location does matter. You can't just go sit on somebody's land and don't claim it the proper way. So guess what? People are sitting on somebody else's real estate on the internet and they're not claiming their property the right way. It's not to say you can't have your property on their platform, but remember, it's own nothing, control everything going into private. And then when you're even doing it from a business perspective, why do you think these artists are having success by having their own publishing company? That's why they don't need to take the deals right away. They don't need to take the deals because they already have their own publishing company. They started Mojo's LLC. And so Mojo's LLC is just, guess what? That's where the money's going to go through. That's the business for the publishing company for his music that he's writing, because he actually is writing it. He's not always just going in there and freestyling as people would like to think that they are doing. They're going in there and writing it down, or either way, it gets written down. And by it getting written down, they copyright their music. They hold on to the song rights, the publishing, what they try to call the masters. They've heard too many buzzwords not to go do basic definitions. They went and researched the field that they're in, and now they have their publishing company. They don't need a deal. They already got their stuff on the internet. They're distributing their music or product through the internet, and now they have their own publishing rights to the content that they're creating. Does location matter? Yes, it does. Diversifying your investments. Why is diversifying your investments such a critical stage? Diversifying investments is one of those things that says, hey, we're actually, going to make sure that our families are going to have multiple positions in the marketplace, and we're not going to be stifled in the marketplace. We're going to be strategically positioned in the marketplace. We're going to make it a point to have multiple positions in the marketplace. See how this is called eight steps to monopoly? See at one point how you do diversify? So many people say, well, what about diversification? Can you be called spread thin? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Virgin Mobile. This is a mogul that people look up to. People say, oh, I look up to these rich guys and they're the smart guys. So Virgin Mobile, he has over 100 Virgin Mobile Virgin brands, whether it's clothing, whether it is perfume or cologne, whether it is airplanes, whether it's food. I mean, the guy has diversified investments. You say, well, where is he getting the money from? Is it all from him? No, he's actually getting money from the bank. He's any typical mogul. He's getting money from the bank. He got the bank to give him money for these many ventures. Why? Because he hasn't failed in a while and he employs smart people. He tries to do his best to provide the highest quality of service. If you deal with Virgin, if you've ever ridden on their airplanes, they have good service. They're a very clean airplane. You get on there, it smells really good. It's like the United Emirates airplanes. They're good airplanes to ride on. So, everybody has their opinion about the everybody's experience, but our experience has been, Virgin brand has come with a staple now. It's come with that if he's got his hand on it, it's gonna work. He diversified. So why wouldn't you? You say, oh man, how fast can I diversify? Who knows? It's almost better to diversify faster than to sit around and say, oh, well, I'm still on my first one. We're a year later. No, we're on to the second one. Oh, we're on to the third one. How many years have you been doing two or three and four? It's time to diversify the investments. And the way that you do that is by diversifying with your skill sets. You're not just made for one thing. The next one is a big one. Negotiation is a powerful skill. Now, when we got to this point, we really thought about what would be a good analogy to share right here. But this is just going to go back to this is El Clasico. See, when you know why the rich people drink wine is because it's like they consider it like a classic, timeless piece. Like it's something that they say the wine gets better as it ages. So here's a classic recommendation of negotiation is a powerful skill. A lot of people wanted to talk about the 48 laws of power. Definitely not worth the read. Haven't still read it, but definitely going to say the art of the deal by the president currently, Donald Trump. The Art of the Deal has been one of the touted classic books of negotiation skills for a long time. Now, when we get in negotiation skills, we definitely get into, well, who teaches the elite the negotiation skills? That's what the skills at the Vault we educate you in the private. We definitely want you to know that. In the private, we encourage you to have communication classes that you go to, specific communications classes. When people talk about, well, could you give us a public one? Because we do have our private educational system with the negotiation skills, but when it comes to the public, you want to look into an organization called Toastmasters. So Toastmasters has been touted for years. A lot of public speakers that you see on the public speaking circuit have went through Toastmasters. We recommend the Toastmasters. We've been a part of the Toastmasters. We recommend the Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a great organization to go in. You have a speech that you develop for a 15-minute period. You talk about that subject matter. So you actually you have to build a speech on your business, which is basically a sales pitch. Why not go in and have some OGs and some people that are older that have way more experience, basically like borderline mentors. And it's like when people go on those TV shows and they get rated for singing, now you get to go in and practice your sales skills, get to go in and practice your speech and communication skills, and they help you right then and there. They give you feedback on your speech for your 15-minute speech, and as you go through, you actually have the ability to level up through there, and they put you on a circuit. So there is massive opportunity by going through these public organizations. Does it cost money? It's an investment. It takes money to make money. But nevertheless, for sure, it is one of the best things you could do for your life. See, we're talking the realness, ladies and gentlemen. We're not talking you spending all your money over the internet, spending $500, $800. Toastmasters is less than $100 a month. It's like $39 or something like that. It's a part of the business plan. You're a public speaker. You're looking to sell a product. Well, if you got to sell a product, you got to sell your company. That means you need to sell the pitch. The way you sell a pitch is by getting free critique or getting a minimal dollar critique through Toastmasters. Oh man, the schedule doesn't fit with my schedule. Losers are going to cry. The winners are going to go out and they're going to get the critique and they're going to move forward. But I'm letting you know, negotiation is a powerful skill. That's why the president can be in a position he wrote the book, The Art is a Deal. The man told you he bought his way into the presidency. It's about being able to negotiate deals and contracts. That's all life is about. Outside of your family, we're talking about the business now. 8 steps to a monopoly. What is it about? For private use only, it's negotiation is a powerful skill. Oh man, I didn't know I was gonna have to speak multiple languages. Yep. Start over from the top. Number one, always be patient. Number two, most expensive asset is not the best asset. Number three, focus on cash flow. Number four, always keep some cash. Number five, location matters. Number six, diversify investments. Number seven, negotiation is a powerful skill. Think about it. No one loves sales. Everybody's scared of it. But then on the back of that, marketing is winning. Does that make any sense? Sales is nasty, but marketing is winning. Internet marketers are winning right now. They've been winning since the internet's been up. If you bet, what do you think YouTube is and Google is and Facebook? They're marketing websites. The marketers are paying. If you're on there for free, you're not giving them any money, so they're getting paid by marketers, people that want to market through the internet. Negotiation skills. Everyone slanders sales, which comes after which is the money. People want to slander the money. You ain't say how you gonna slander the money. Marketing is to get you the money. So we got now the marketers are getting love and praise because sex sells. Remember that part? So the marketing is the sex. The sales is the money. But how many people are benefiting from sex selling? And then the last one. Passive income is key. See, this is where we get to the private once again. This is where we get to the run rate. This is where we get to the private knowledge of education where, guess what? You weren't supposed to work for money. You know how many people that say, oh, I'm enlightened. I'm not supposed to be working for money. Money's supposed to be working for me. Okay, well, money isn't supposed to be. You're not supposed to be working for money. You're right. You're supposed to be building assets. But let's go through the list again. It's not the one thing you do. This is, oh no, I got to do all of these things. Yes, it's your credo. You get up, you read it every day. Just like you were given a public program to maybe get up and get on the internet to apply for an application for a job, people have to get up now and go around a monopoly board with the new game plan as you're running around. It's a new program. The first one is always be patient. The second one is your most expensive asset is not the best asset. The third one is focus on cash flow. The fourth is always keep some cash. Number five is location matters. Number six is diversify investments. Number seven is negotiation is a powerful skill. And number eight, passive income is key. Think about this. Passive income is key. Wow. That's that perpetuity money. That's the money that lasts forever. That's what's going on. Are we in perpetuity mode? Are we in legacy mode with cash flow? Are the ventures that we really have our mindset on focused on perpetuity and cash flow? See how all those things go together? Yeah. This is called the private mindset. It's for private use only. You say you're going private, you got to make sure that you got your consultation so you can move forward with you being in the right position. It's business, not personal. That's the first thing we learn in private trustee training. It's business, not personal. It could have never been personal because if you are in a personal position, that means indenture servitude is real. Why? Because that means you can owe a debt with your body. Can you owe a debt with your body? It's business, not personal. Now we know that there are LLCs, S corps, C corps, trust, and different type of corporations and things like that. There are different ones out there. It's what piece are you using on the monopoly board? Are you using the hat? Are you using the dog? Are you using the car? Well, it's the same thing. What entity, what vehicle are you using to traverse on the monopoly board? It's 8 steps to monopoly, to dominating it and actually creating your own family monopoly. But it's for private use only. It's not for the ones that are going to pussyfoot with it. Oh man, I still haven't gotten a corporation started yet. Why not? That's the least you could do. The least. Why? Because you have to protect the asset so you can start preserving it. Why? Because just like people say, oh, we want to get into real estate. Real estate is supposedly is a depreciating asset. Then people get into their own selves. Think about it. Have you become a depreciating asset for your family? Maybe you started out at $12 billion, but guess what? After all the years you've been working has taken toll on you. So now the document that shows how much you're worth is actually saying, look, the asset's been depreciating. So it's not just gaining value; it hasn't gained any value. It's lost value because it's depreciating, losing time. This is how much the time was worth in the beginning, but who knows how many days are left? And let's just go off the standard statistical actuaries, which insurance companies are doing it. The insurance companies are saying, well, traditionally people from this area and that or have this last name and live this way, that this is what's going to happen. Let's just go over these again. Give a quick run through. Always be patient. See, people think, oh man, he just got me off the hook. I don't have to work hard and fast. Being patient is allowing yourself to daydream again about your goals and your dreams, not just agonizing over them. Being patient is saying, look, I'm going to daydream about it, but I'm not going to go do some stupid stuff that's going to take me away from it. I'm going to do things that help me, and I'm going to daydream about it because I understand that I have to visualize subtly about my gifts and my talents. Since they're spiritual gifts and spiritual talents, I have to allow them to come to me through daydreaming. See, there was a lot of people that let go of daydreaming. Public school made people stop daydreaming. That's a code of the century right there. You know what I mean? Public school people lost their daydreaming abilities. Your daydreaming ability is to be able to see in the light. That's where you can see a pyramid before your eyes before it's ever there. But supposedly, guess what? Modern day mechanics, they can't rebuild the pyramids that's in Egypt. Wow. So somebody daydreamed it a million, however many thousands of years ago, and now somebody, they don't have to worry about daydreaming. They just have to stare at their reality that somebody else daydreamed it, and now they're stuck with the reality that modern so-called man that's so technologically advanced doesn't have the technology to rebuild or move these so-called ton stones. That's why you're always patient. You're studying the ancients. You're researching. The most expensive asset is not your best asset. That's number two. It's always not going to be your best asset. Oh man, what do you mean? The cash flow that's going through the hands is not it's the most expensive asset, but it's not my best asset. You're right. Oh man, what about my time? My time is the most expensive asset, but it's not my best asset? Yes, it's not. Oh wow, this is called a form of detachment. Yes, it is. And when you're able to be at 0 point, you're able to move through business, not personal, with no emotions. You have a thick faced black heart. Number three, focus on cash flow. This is where you get into the old familiar growth mindset. This is when you pray, you receive. There is no pray and don't receive. You obey the spiritual law of you pray and you're going to receive. It's a law. It's not, oh, will work sometime, but it doesn't work all the time. That's where patience comes in. That's where the other rules come in, the steps come in. But this one in particular, focus on cash flow, is you're never down. You're always creating. You don't have to be down. You don't have time to be down. That's already said you don't have time to be down because that was an expensive asset that really is not your best asset. Time. So we're moving into now we know that we have to create cash flow from anywhere, previous talents or not. Number four, always keep some cash. We're always keeping cash. Why? Because it's a commodity like silverware. It's a commodity like water. It's a commodity like food. Why would we not keep that where we know, okay, well, this is how much life costs for a month in this particular jurisdiction. So we need to have this cash on hand for at least next month in case cash flow changes from one cash flow to another cash flow. Cash flow just means growth mindset. Some people think, oh, this is where I get into having 8 million businesses. No, this is where you're focused on saying, okay, I'm actually off my rusty dusty. I can't wait for something to come to me. I actually have to create. It's called focus on cash flow. That means focus on getting some money. Oh man, that's what I got to think about. How do you think you have everything in your life? Through money. It's okay. Go get it. Maybe no one had to set you at ease and tell you it was okay to get money. So many people have this dirty still thought of getting a ton of money. Oh man, I only want $1 million in my life. If I only get $1 million, I'll be happy. Sure you will. No, you won't. How are you going to have ambition now, get to your goals, and then not have ambition any further? That's called a loser mentality. So, always keep some cash. Once again, it's a commodity. We understand this when you come into private. That's why you hold the golds, the silvers, the precious metals, and the paper. The paper that you hold is a commodity such as that. Just like the other commodities. Location matters is number five. Location matters? You know how many people have come to us through the years? Oh man, I live in the back of Alabama and there's no work down here. Well, you might want to move. Well, how am I going to get the money to move? Uh, it's called pray and then you're going to receive. But if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. First of all. Second of all, if you ask, you got to go do something. You can't sit around and wait. Oh man, what does that mean? It means even if you have to walk out the house, you go do that. You get out the house or you do something on the computer, but you make it a point to change your location. How do you think Singapore has such a high concentration of millionaires? Because millionaires want to be around millionaires. They want to be around other intelligent fellows. Location does matter. You invest in things that are warm climates for you to feel warm all the time. You invest in that beach scenery. Yes, you have to beseech it out. Maybe you don't get the ideal location right away, but you still get to that location, and location matters. It's the same thing even with the internet and real estate. So many people are having their property. That's why you get the that's why you get the business set up so you can at least make sure that you're holding property in the right position through the LLC, S corp, C corp, or trust or otherwise. Why? Why? Because If you have real estate on the internet or straight up in the world, it's still real estate. It's a business. It's business, not personal. That's what you learn in private trustee training. That's what you, when you get your consultation and say, I'm going to make sure I have the corporation up and running. Okay, we're going private. That's the first step before we jump over into we're private. And I see a lot of you all's questions in the chat, and we're actually going to make it a point to open up the chat and go back and look at some of the questions and things like that. Location matters. It does. Oh man, you know how much better off you'd be if you were in the ideal climate for yourself? Location is like you growing in a forest. You have to grow in a place that's conducive to your mindset for growth. Number six, diversify investments. This is why most people just got wiped out in the last goddamn 2 months, and that's just real talk. In the last 2 months, most people got wiped out because they were not diversified enough. Oh, you were in one 401k, you were in one IRA, you were in another IRA, you were in some college fund, or you were in some mutual fund, and you were in some little fund that's indexed towards the markets. So bam, the markets took a hit. What the hell happened to your portfolio? You took a hit. Your portfolio took a hit. It's just that simple. Okay, but I was in those are called fixed income investments. I'm sorry that the financial advisor didn't give people the full complete knowledge of fixed income investments and government subsidy investments and things of that nature. Well, guess what? Yes, when you say you're going to invest, you might as well not even invest at all if you're going to go into something and not even research what you're doing. First of all, when you list to the vote and you know things are held in trust, you know that those assets are held in contract, and people are just managing those things from a pool of contracts. That's it. So, okay, we didn't read that far, but we still got to go into we're not diversified enough. Well, that's the issue. Most people on the public side are not diversified. So when you go into the private, you might have multiple businesses. Yes. Oh man, I might have to start 3 to 5 LLCs because I got 5 talents. And hey, right now they all can start from scratch. They're kind of some internet type stuff, and I can sell whatever I'm doing. I'm selling my services through the internet. I'm selling this through the internet. What are you doing through the internet? That's the question. Oh man, well I'm doing this type of business. Okay, well that's the question. Location matters. Where is it at? Investment, diversifying. So many people think they're gonna stay in one business their whole life. If you thinking that, you're not gonna make it as a millionaire because the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Oh man, that's racking my brain. That's 7 digits, seven different streams. I mean, so you trying to tell me I could have 7 businesses that kind of do like $100,000, or maybe like 5 businesses that do like $150,000 a year? Yes, man, that's a lot of work right there. Okay, guess what? If you lose 100K in one hole, you have another one cash flowing. That's why we got diversified investments. So when you lose 100K in one business, it could fall off tomorrow. Oh, the marketing business fell off, honey. Yeah, the 100K just went out the window. Oh, we still got 750K. Oh man, man, the trucking industry just took a hit, honey. Oh man, we lost that. Cool, but we still know how to trade. We was at 250 and we was just getting started with that. For all the trustees that know that. See, you diversified in your education too. You didn't just diversify your skill sets or the businesses, you diversified your education. That's why you invested in your private education. It says diversify investments. So it's investments of your time. What are you investing your time in? Clothes, or are you investing in your education? Oh, so many people say, really? Is it really going to be that much? I got to invest so much money in my education. I don't even know if I could look at it like that. I'm going to invest thousands into my education, but so I can make millions of dollars. Think about it. Your clothes not even going to cost $1 million. So yes, you're going to have $1 million to have all the clothes you want, all the houses you want. Because why? You had diversified your education in the private. Yes, you adopted a new mindset. Wow. Next one. Negotiation is a powerful skill. Negotiation is probably the most powerful skill. So many people, they say, I don't want to sell. Selling is dirty. Wham, wham, boo, boo. Selling is the dirty thing. Guess what? Selling is the number one thing. Oh man, I don't want to hear that. Why? Because you don't want to get out your comfort zone. You've been taught not to be yourself. You've been taught not to be who you want to be. If you're a loudmouth person, be loudmouth. If you're a quiet person, be quiet. But there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself and saying, "Hey, I have an idea. I want to pitch because I need some money for my idea." A lot of artists don't feel that they can get money for their idea. That's a load of baloney. You can get ideas funded. There are people funding all types of ideas. So we're sitting on the phone. This is a true thing. This is not something we can't even make this up. The guy from NSYNC, who sung music, we're pretty sure it's NSYNC, started a company to do research about UFOs. There's actually funds from the government to do research about these unsuspected sightings. And he's a person that's the chairman of a company that does that. And he has big time security defense contractors or ex contractors sitting on his board. See, this is the big business we're talking about. Negotiation is a powerful skill. See, he went from singing music. Oh, we don't take people that sing music seriously. Well, he actually was successful. So, okay, well, we take success seriously. Okay, we take success seriously. Now I'm going to convince you to give me money to research UFOs, the sightings, so we can explain these unexplainables. And there's over $40 million available for companies that do that. And guess what? Since I'm one of the few companies in the industry, I think I'll gobble up about 25. See, that's the business, the monopoly game we're in. Space, the final frontier. They already have mentioned that if a United States citizen even lands on something in space, they even got you claimed if you're a United States citizen and you land on something in space, they got laws that say, guess what? That's our property. It's the state. We got it. Why? Because there's been asteroids that come down that only certain countries have access to. Negotiation is a powerful skill. How is negotiation a powerful skill? Because it's the skill that can save you in business deals. We're not talking about the personal with your family. We're talking about business deals. Maybe now your sarcasm comes into play because you lighten up a tense moment. When you're doing business deals, you need sarcasm. Oh man, I thought my sarcasm was going to serve me bad. All the self-help gurus said sarcasm is negatively affecting your mindset. Yeah, right. When sarcasm in a moment of heated negotiations can break the mood, can break the mood of silence and heartache to a moment of lightness where we're laughing because we got to get the mood laughing in business. Just as much as we got to get them happy, slappy, laughing on each other, joking and all that other stuff. So sarcasm does come into play. So that's why negotiation skills, you go into Toastmasters and engaging in public speaking engagements, forcing yourself to be in those public speaking engagements. Those things help you improve your people skills. Even then, we're in a time where social distancing supposedly has been introduced. We're in an age now where interpersonal skills are now even more relevant. So those businesses are booming. Oh man, how do I find a hot date? What do you think? Why do you think that there are businesses to teach men how to talk to women? Those businesses are in business because there are men that don't have the negotiation skills. So it's the same thing in business. And there are men that are in business that don't have negotiation skills with women. It's interesting. You got negotiation skills for business, but you don't have them for women. And women, you know how it is. We don't know how it is. We're speaking from a man's perspective. So there we go. But overall, no negotiation skills. Women they have easy negotiation skills. We may not show how they can negotiate, but okay, we'll share that. Women can negotiate more non-verbally than men can. But women actually communicate non-verbally just like men do. But women can negotiate with nice earrings, makeup, jewelry, having nice body parts. That is what people consider, because sex sells, we're back at negotiation skills. These are the things that by default you may buy things just because sex sells. Fortunately, but unfortunately. So the women have an easier time selling. They've always have, always will. They just it's just a reality, fellas. So when the women think that, oh, Trust Christian and Evolve might be talking some type of way about women, clearly sex sells. So we already know who's in a dominant position when it comes to negotiations. But when it comes to negotiations, there are words that are involved. So there are negotiations, even if they're in contract form on paper. There's still something that we can see and we can speak and things of that nature. Whereas non-communication negotiation skills are 55% nonverbal and less than 20% verbal. So negotiation skills are critical. That's why it's important to go and so many people say, "Oh, I used to love people watching." Stop people watching, okay? How about you let someone watch you and critique you growing your people skills in front of people? There used to be a stat back in the day that said, and the top five things of people's biggest fear was public speaking. And so people say, "Oh man, I don't know when I'm gonna go do it. I don't know when I'm gonna go do it." The longer you delay on that, all you're doing is delaying your public speaking skills. And it's not you going over the internet and doing a live like this. This is not just public public speaking skills. We've done that in person. We do workshops in person with the vault. So it's not that, oh, we don't do the face to face things. You do those things in front of people. You do talk about your area of expertise. You do talk about what you're good at. You do talk about who you are and what you're about. And we're going to continue doing that. But public speaking is not over the internet. It really isn't. In our humble opinion, it's not you doing some one-sided conversation through the internet where you're just speaking into and people are watching. That's not negotiation skills. But people would consider it selling skills, marketing skills. It does have some form of that, but letting people critique you through Toastmasters is obviously, you can see that there's more value there. And those are people, when people are looking at their top speakers in the world, they're traditionally coming from those environments as well, coming from Toastmasters and things like that. So negotiation is a powerful skill. Number 8, passive income is key. And this is where you just get into the abundance mindset. We already know how the world is set up. The world has been predicated off a bunch of terms called fear, which is false expectations appearing real. Um, and they really are false expectations or false evidence appearing real. False evidence, you don't know until you know. And a lot of people have not done or taken action because they they really haven't learned that experience is one of the best teachers. That's why it's important to have a mentor so you can learn from the positive experiences, not from the negative experiences. So when we talk about passive income, passive income is that old time income. It's that old money, as they call it. And that old money comes from old time lessons of wealth building, wealth preservation. All that comes from old time things. When we talk about a 300-year-old investment called insurance, it's like, why are we waiting around for that? But so many people wait around for that, and they're like, oh, well, why would I do that? I don't have kids. Think about it. You can actually use that as a part of your net worth, silly. Most people don't even know you can use insurance as a part of your net worth or your assets. But no, people don't know that. They just walking around and I don't know why I would buy any insurance on myself. Right, but you want to wait for somebody else to give you the insurance. It doesn't work that way. Not in the private. If you're going private, you're doing that yourself. You're not allowing somebody to give you the public handouts on the public. Why? Because that's how you know you're not going to create a monopoly. That's how you create a state dependent. That's a state beneficiary. And you're looking to be in a position of trusteeship, be in a position of control. So that's why the 8 steps to monopoly are you actually doing what? Making it a point to have passive income. And that's a key. Appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. About to go and look at some of these questions and comments for everybody tuning in live. Respect, appreciate you. And the indentured trust of a mortgage-backed security. Don't know, that was a statement. It's good to ask questions, ladies and gentlemen, or put it in a question or statement form. A REIT, a mortgage-backed security pooled of indentured trust collateral via an easement. We definitely have seen that. It's so funny, Melanie Thomas. Thanks for making that statement. We talk about this, man. We were talking about this with our rich friends the other day. We're sitting around laughing about easements and how rich people use them as a tax actual write-off. We know about all the rich people. Rich people actually create their own tax shelters. That's how they do it. They create their own pooled investments to allow them to have an easement. Of course they do. That's why they're the ones that came up with the easement ideas. It's really really simple. So it's interesting to see people not have that mindset of collateral, easement, and securities. And those are things that it's like, man, I really got to study this. It's like, think about this: you're either a slave to the paper or the paper's a slave to you. The paper's supposed to be a slave to your penmanship. She said, mind's eye, knowledge is the best asset. So if knowledge is your best asset, let's go to that. So if knowledge is the most expensive asset, it's not the best asset. And you think about that. If knowledge is the most expensive asset, it's not the best asset. Why is it not the best asset? All right, well, think about it. If you're the only one that has the asset or only one that thinks the asset has value, that's not good. So now, at first, it was an expensive one. You acquired knowledge, yes, but think about it. What if it was knowledge that you can't use right now? It's not the best asset for right now. So that's why it's good to look at these steps as rules to filter those thoughts through. Like, okay, if knowledge is my most expensive asset, then it's not my best asset because knowledge is expensive. Public side knowledge, and whether people say public side knowledge is expensive, private side knowledge is expensive too. So it's not the best asset, but it is the best asset when you're looking at private, obviously, because it's the more superior position. Leo Spell said, Leo, uh, women know how to market. I think we should almost safe to say that that should be inherent in all women, even though there is no such universal truth. We should say that it should be inherent. But because business has a level of logic to it, it does involve someone to have a level of rhetoric inside of the thought process towards the process that they're actually administrating. So it does require a level of rhetoric. But marketing, we would definitely say they should be natural at it just by natural selection. The man is going to go for the most so-called beautiful woman, whether that's inside or outside. So it's not just inner beauty, it's outer beauty. You can see that with your so-called, like Melanie Thomas has typed in the chat, with your mind's eye. You can see the beauty of a person with your mind's eye. So just appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to the replay for the 8 steps of Monopoly, 8 steps to Monopoly for private use only. This is definitely private use only. This is one of those episodes the mentors would never advise for us to share, but this is charity. So we just, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about these things. And hey, say, hey, you going private, when you gonna get your business started? You know what I mean? That's 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 the most important part. Is when are you gonna move forward with your piece of the monopoly board? Actually get into the Ferrari. See, we talk about the trust being a Ferrari, and LLCs being, or traditional business entities being like a Benz, or like a lower level car. It's not a Ferrari, ladies and gentlemen. There are cars that are still made by people. Handmade cars, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wow, did he say that? Yes, there are cars that are still handmade by people. So when it comes to handmade cars, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the Rolls Royces, okay? So when you talk about the Rolls Royce, that's a generational car. It doesn't lose value, it gains value, okay? So compared to a car, supposedly as soon as you pull the car off the lot, it loses half its value. So why would you ever invest any money into that? Well, I needed a car. No, you did. You had a car. Now you have a car. Again, 8 steps to a monopoly. So now you can put yourself in a vehicle that you know can accelerate your growth. It's like, think about it. If you know you can get more money as a manager for a business idea than you can for yourself personally, why wouldn't you put yourself in that position to do so? That's why you get the consultation, so you can move forward and make sure you're moving proper in the entities, because the entities dictate your speed. Oh, you don't think so? Why do you think certain people say, "Oh, we're offshore"? Okay. Stefan Dedon said, "Knowledge can make or break you. It can make or break your business. The more you have, up to the point, the better you're off." And the thing about it is like I say, the mentorship helps with that learning curve. So many people disrespect mentors because they don't do exactly what they say, or they don't do what they say. So it's like, well, you're trying to improve what the mentor said. How the hell you gonna improve what the mentor said? You don't need to improve what the mentor said. Just do what the mentor said, and then improve what you're doing on your own. You got to see what the mentor shared with you, and then move forward. But so many people, they're not familiar with mentorship. On the public side, they're used to 30 kids in a classroom, whereas on the private side, it's mentorship. You pick up the phone when you have a problem, and then people invest in that. You invest in your private education. You always invest. So definitely appreciate you all for tuning in live or the replay. Once again, 8 steps to a monopoly, private use only. This is how it's done in the private. Period. You want to go private, you follow those steps. You have that in your back pocket. You're living that code. It's a code. Gonna wrap it up one more time. If you want to reach out for the consultation to make sure you're in the right position, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. And we are number one, always be patient. It's a critical step. That's why it's number one. So many people think, man, I need to keep jumping back in. No, after you taking a couple lashings and L's, you be patient. But you don't stop moving forward. You just say, okay, with that one, I'ma slow my rate of you gotta increase your failure rate, as one of the mentors said. So being patient is increasing your failure rate so you can get to success. How do you become the home run hitter? You swing at a lot of baseballs. Always be patient with yourself and your learning curve. The most expensive asset is not your best asset. Number two. That's obviously time and money. Those are always the biggest ones. Someone said knowledge. We can say put those top three things up there. Now we can start figuring out what's really a good asset to have that's almost indestructible. And there are assets such as that. Focus on cash flow. Cash flow says, hey, we're focused on the growth mindset today. We're not focused on not doing anything we're always focused on cash flow. Nothing else. We're not focused on deficits. We're not focused on losses. We're focused on cash flow. We're focused on waking up and saying, what can generate cash flow today, and actually putting some energy and time into it. The next one, number four, always keeping some cash on hand. You always keep cash on hand. Why? Because it's a commodity, and it's losing value every day, like everyone knows. But it's a commodity nonetheless. It's like water. It has a value. Some things have tangible value. Some things have intangible value. It's one of those things you don't want to be left home without it. Number five, location matters. Location does matter. It matters where you live. It matters where you're generating the capital from. Location matters. That's why real estate has been that old thing. Oh, make sure you get into real estate. But a lot of people are focused on internet real estate, not even focused on real estate. But real estate is still one of those precious commodities on the planet. So location matters. Number six, diversifying investments. Number six, diversifying investments. Diversifying investments is Diversifying investments is knowing, okay, we don't just have one talent and ability. We have multiple talents. Oh man, I'm only gonna do one thing. Man, if you got 10 things, get 5 things out the way so you can move on. You think about it. If you get successful with two or three of them, you can always come back and improve the failures. But if you got one thing going on and it fails, you're stuck in the stew. It's the same thing with two. It's the same thing with three. So oh man, I got to do 4 or 5 things this year. Maybe, yes, do 4 or 5 business ventures you wanted to do in the past. You don't need to do one business venture. Oh man, I don't know how to do QuickBooks and accounting. You'll figure that out. The banking is almost doing the accounting for you. You have a P&L every single month from the bank. Diversifying your investments. Next one, in negotiation is a powerful skill as you practicing your pitching skills. A lot of people, they say, oh, I don't know how to get any money. You don't know how to get any money because you haven't pitched for any money. You have to pitch for the money. Once you have a pitch for the money, you have no problem with finding the money because then you're prepared. If you don't have any pitch, then of course it don't matter if you find where the money at. It's called the bank. It's called friends, family, and foes. It's called insurance companies. It's called investment bankers. It's called VCs. It's called GCs. It's called what are these calling these guys? Angel investors nowadays. All these different guys on the private side. That's how you pitch. Negotiation. You get the money. You get the money through your negotiation skills. So you go take negotiation classes, communications classes, behavioral science classes. Number eight, passive income is key. This is critical because we're on the private side. And when you're going from public to private, you're focused on creating that passive income so you can have that perpetual long term family income from one generation to the next. You're making sure you're invested in the community and making sure that that's a return on investment. Anytime you do anything, it's a return on investment. It's passive income. And even just a return, yeah, it's a return on, really a return on a principal. So we always want to focus on a return on the principal. So, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you all for tuning in live or listening to replay. Always do our best to bring you content and bring you some good quality content for time. Just time's sake. We know the times that people are in there out here. You know, always saying, the sky is falling out. And at the end of the day, we're just talking to you about the spiritual concepts of the business aspect, and not only that, but the 8 steps to monopoly private use only, because these are the steps that you adopt these mindsets in your life change, and then you move from the public to the private. Appreciate you all for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to share with your friends, because if the message make any sense to you, you're supposed to share it with your friends and family. And that's how we've seen the vault grow over the past years, is that people share it with their friends. So share the episode with your friends and family, somebody that they can deal with, somebody that actually is going to speak the truth to them. Peace and blessings. Talk to you all soon. Christian at trustchristian.com.